Good morning, and thank you for joining us for a look at the headlines from the papers. We call the program Off the Press. My name is Felicity Ezewike. I'm joined by security expert Dickson Osajie. Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice being here.
We'll be joined a little later by financial expert Jide Ojo. Let's start things off with the Punch newspaper this morning. The big one here is NCDC cries out as rapid test kits black market rises. I'll take that again. NCDC cries out as rapid test kits black market rises. FG to use hotels, schools as quarantine, isolation centers. Hospitals' refusal to treat patients leads to more debt. That's coming from the federal government. There are other headlines here just above the masthead. We have Buhari rides National Assembly, seeks $5.5 billion fresh loan. 18 groups jostle to monitor $311 million of battlefield spending. That's an interesting one for a lot of persons. 18 groups, some are even saying more. FG Obasanjo fault US over additional's fresh probe. And then just above it, we have CBN forecasts lower growth, reduces lending rate to 12.5%. You find details of that story on page 38 of the paper. Because of time, I'll just go ahead and bring in our guest. Dickson, which of these headlines, let's not ignore the screamer though. The screamer of NCDC raising, crying out over the rapid test kits black market rise.
Well, I really was surprised because all the billions we've gotten from Nigerians, I don't know where those money are right now, because I don't think the NCDC should be crying out for test kits, because what they should have done is to be proactive and proactive. You know, they should have predicted the future and create the future, because when you are proactive, you are creating the future, and creating the future is putting a methodology in place to ensure that you don't fall vulnerable into any negative dimensions. Because the COVID-19 came as a shock to the world. And every country is expected to, activate its emergency planning. And when we talk about emergency planning, is the suspension of human rights. So when you're about suspending human rights due to this COVID-19, they expected the NCDC to have predicted the future in the sense that every financial obligations, every application should have been in place. Because for them to have crying out now is to tell us that they are lackadaisical in their area of duties.
Okay, the government is going to use hotels and all of those places. Are you concerned that the conversion will work? Is it better than the suggestion that we should, do self-isolate at home?
Well, COVID-19 is a biological weapon, and I don't think taking hotels and other places into the conversion for this program is very essential. I don't think it's essential, because the reason why I say so is that the hotel is an hospitality industry, and in hospitality industry, people tend to go and have fun, take some rest, and go on holiday with their families. In a situation whereby you expose the hospitality industry to a state of vulnerability, because it's going to be a high risk now, because nobody can tell or ascertain the level in which the fumigation processes will be effective.
Okay. Let's get a financial expert, Jide Ojo, in. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right. I want to take your thoughts quickly on the money being requested by Buhari. He's asking the National Assembly for an additional $5.5 billion loan. That's a huge amount of money. What's your take on it?
I'm really shocked to the marrow that the president will request for additional loan approval shortly after the $22.7 billion that was approved by the National Assembly not long ago. Don't also forget that IMF just also approved a loan for Nigeria, and we just received over $300 million Abacha loot. Yeah, granted the fact that there is a sharp decrease in the oil revenue, I am of the opinion, I'm of the considered view that the president could have at least tried to look inward in terms of blockages of revenue leakage, pruning down running costs, and don't also forget that with effect from about February this year, the VAT has been increased from the initial 5% to 7.5%. And at some point this year too, the price of crude was selling well above the benchmark that was approved in the budget. And for your information, the president has also reduced substantially the size of the budget. So all of this considered, I don't think we should indulge in undue borrowing. But more shocking to me is the fact that there was even no breakdown released to the public as to what specifically this $5.513 billion will be used for. If we do know, at least for Abacha, they told us they are doing Second Niger Bridge, they are doing Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and Abuja-Kano Expressway. So we will be able to monitor that, and that's why you see 18 civil society organizations wanting to be part of the monitoring exercise. But in a situation where you are just asking for a blanket $5.513 billion from multilateral organizations like IMF, World Bank, Islamic Bank, as well as a couple of other organizations, without details being released to the public, leaves room for doubt. And I think the president should reconsider that position.
Okay, quickly before I let you go now, do you have any concerns about the sources from which this loan is being sourced?
Well, like I said, what's in the public domain is that they are getting a portion of it from the World Bank, from IMF, from Islamic Bank, from African Development Bank, and a couple of other sources. The bottom line is that we are not told exactly what are the terms and conditions of these loans. Will it be single interest rate? What will be the moratorium before the repayment will be due? And we are already borrowing too much. Under this current administration, our borrowing has more or less quadrupled from the position it was as at 2015. Are we saying we have not been making money? I think we can and we should look inward, block leakages in the system rather than going and borrowing. I have advised in other platforms that there are a lot of white elephants that are spread all over this country. They can be sold off, and the priority projects, the process from such white elephants cannot be applied to completing those priority projects that will serve the benefit of Nigerians. But right now, going to IMF, World Bank, and all of that, and I asked myself, when I saw IMF as part of the organizations that they intend to borrow this $5.513 billion, was it with a retroactive effect? Because I really do know that a couple of weeks back, IMF actually approved a loan for Nigeria. I can't, top of my head, remember exactly how much, but we read in the papers that IMF has approved a loan for Nigeria. So is it a fresh loan from IMF, or is that what is now being pushed retroactively for approval by the National Assembly? And I shiver, because it will be interesting to know exactly what these projects are for.
All right, Jide Ojo, I'm afraid we're time constrained. I'll have to say thank you very much for giving us an insight on that particular issue.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and stay safe.
You too, sir. You too. We'll get back to Dickson in the studio now. Your quick reaction to his submission before we take a look at the Nation newspaper. Well,
it's really worrisome, because Abacha loot, we heard about 300 and something million was refunded back to Nigeria. The truth is that we don't have a mechanism in place to track our record and also to audit our spendings and ensure that loopholes are verified, and that is why we need to have more forensic experts in Nigeria, to analyze what is really going wrong. Because here in our own client, in our own country, we don't believe in the success of this great nation. If you look at the phrase in the national anthem, which states that the labor of our heroes past should not be in vain, which I believe our people sing every day. I expected our country to ensure the labors of our heroes past are not in vain, because all this money that are coming into Nigeria, there's no accountability, and we keep borrowing. I think we are putting Nigeria in the deadlights.
All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper and see what we can do with it in the time available. Federal government, many Nigerians dying of common ailments. That's the Nation newspaper. It has some riders to it. Has hospitals reject patients for fear of COVID-19. NAFDAC, others get Madagascar cure drug. We also have a breakdown of the figures globally as it stands. It's going up to about 6 million infections globally. Above the masthead, we have new chiefs for Ondo as police gets new structure. Interest rate down to 12.5% from 13.5%. A little bit of sports is also on the front page. But let's talk about the people dying from common ailment. There are people that are saying we're beginning to disregard every other aspect of life because of this pandemic. Is that true? Are we causing more harm than good with the concentration on the pandemic?
You see, until we realize and understand that human lives are irreplaceable, we would not get things right. Because the value for human rights in Nigeria here is highly dissipated. Because human life matters. If you go to some advanced world, when you bring down a citizen, the nation will go after you. But here, you see people kill with immunity. People carry out actions that are detrimental to the Nigerian state with immunity. For me, this strange ailment that are killing Nigerians, I think it should be investigated, and we'll be expecting a report from the investigation team. But I want to also put it on notice that here in our country, we don't usually carry out a conclusive investigation. When incident springs up or sprangs up, we just everybody will start shouting, but we don't have a conclusive end. But I believe we should go have a conclusive end on this one.
I want to take a thought on the AFDB issue. There is a headline here: Buhari, Obasanjo, AFDB board back additional. What's your take on all of this? Our government and the management of the bank is saying that due process was followed in the investigation. They have an internal structure for doing this, and that the coup by the US is unnecessary and out of place. What's your reaction?
Yeah, when it comes to financing and monetary values, there are always conflict of interest. And conflict of interest could come from various forms. It could come from an outside source or from an inside source. Perhaps maybe someone is trying to get on that seat. But for me, Buhari and Obasanjo backing the man is a good one because our citizens, because reputation matters. And that is why image management is very important, because whatever goes wrong is going to affect his image till eternity. So I believe image management is important, and everything should be clarified.
All right, let's jump to the Nigerian Tribune. Buhari seeks approval for $5.513 billion loan. We've spoken with financial expert Jide Ojo on that. So we'll just move on to the others. Buhari creates additional police zonal commands. Oyo, Ondo, Osun, others get new CPs. And then 15 die in Bauchi canoe accident. That's a sad one on the front page of the paper. 74 feared killed as bandits attacked Sokoto community. Also there, 21 years of civil rule, gains, pains, prospects, economy, many miles crossed, many miles lie ahead. All right, let's take your thoughts quickly. As a security expert, what's your concern about the increasing cases we seem to be having? In spite of the pandemic, we're having people being kidnapped, we have communities fighting and killing themselves.
Yeah, our system of policing is very, very erroneous. When Sir Robert Peace founded the Nigerian police, Nigerian police, the modern day policing in the United Kingdom in 1821, he made a phrase that the absence of crime proves the effectiveness of the policing system. Now, are there absence of crime in Nigeria? No. Are we losing more Nigerians every day? Yes, we are. For me, I think the Nigerian government should take human life as a top priority, because if you don't prioritize your risk, you cannot be able to apply your countermeasures. Because when you go into risk priority, human life comes first, information comes second, image comes third, property even comes last in the priority of risk, because property are replaceable, but your image is not replaceable, because when your image is damp, and life is not replaceable. So that is why when you prioritize your risk, you'll be able to adopt or apply proper security applications and measures. Now, going into the 12 zonal, the zones being created, that's not going to solve the issue. What's going to solve the issue is effective policing, And when you talk about effective policing, we're also going to look into territorial behavior. And if our policing system will adopt territorial behavior, holding into account our territory, not allowing the enemy to break into our space, giving enough of defensive space. We'll talk about defensive space. It's a situation whereby you and I will move around without being scared, Then the Nigerian policing system will be a better place, because human priority has to come first.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time for your thoughts on the headlines this morning.
Nice being here. Thank you.
All right, and we thank you for watching the program. More stories and information here on Plus TV Africa. Do stay tuned and be safe.